Hi guys, I wanted to make a video analyzing the Joker. So this is just my own point of view, and I will analyze it in two categories. One will be as a film, purely in its merits as a film, and the second will be in its thematic and in the question if does this film of the Joker does it have any social thematic or social implications, and what would they be? So this film is, very controversial. There was I think there was a huge expectation for all the fans of the Joker, all the fans of the Batman movies, especially the latest ones, which were actually good compared to the previous, Batman franchises that you used to watch as a kid. But anyway, the film itself, I would say it surprised me in the sense that it was has nice cinematography, well shot. I thought the images were very telling. I thought the acting was amazing. Um, and it surprised me because this film is directed by Todd Phillips, which is a director that, he directed, I think, the Hangover trilogy. And if you watch the Hangover trilogy, it's kind of, to say the least, it's a very blunt, direct film. Is not a film with nuance or layers or original ways to tell a joke or a message. It's kind of the film you would expect from somebody who kind of lacks creativity. Um, but when you compare that and you see the Joker, I was positively surprised that he at least managed to contain a little bit of his style of movie making. But okay, so here's what I enjoy about Joker. I enjoy the acting. I enjoy the whole story was okay. It has very interesting references to other films, King of Comedy, Taxi Driver. The evidence, the references were pretty obvious. There was nothing really, um, filled with that enigmatic symbolism, but it was really direct. But the film as a whole, I think I would like to think about this film in the sense of what it was trying to tell. So this Joker interpretation, it's about a man with a very serious mental health issue and with very serious social abandonment. So to me, uh, the movie was about a man who was very lonely, had a lot of mental problems and economical problems. And the way the film deals with this story or with this character is that it shows you a character that has basically been abandoned by society and is very, very resentful. He's resentful towards the society that gave him no opportunities, gave him no help when he needed, and who stomped on him when he was trying to correct himself. Um, the film itself, I think it was I liked some parts of the presentation, but some things I didn't like was like at the beginning. Do you guys remember this scene where we first meet the Joker and he's flipping a sign outside of a store, and we get that very, very repetitive introduction to how much of a crappy life he lives in a very unoriginal way, just like by some teenagers taking his sign from him and beating him. I thought that was very cheesy, unnecessary, unoriginal way of showing how bad his life was. I think that is treating the audience like, like Hollywood treats their audiences, like if they were dumb. But I think there were more elegant ways to to show basically how bad his life was, which they did in the film in other ways, like when he goes to his work, how he's bullied or ignored by his coworkers, or how he lives with his mother, or his appointments with his social worker. I think those were more nuanced ways of telling the same thing. So I didn't like that part of the film. Another part of the film, I think, was, you could see a mile away was his whole thing with having, I don't know how you call it in English, delusions, where you see something that is not real. I think that's an element that you can play with, but the way Todd Phillips or Hollywood will use it is the exact same they used it, in which, spoilers, stop if you haven't seen the film or whatever, but you could see a mile away that his whole relationship with his neighbor, the black woman that was his neighbor, was totally in his mind. It was just too perfect, and the way they showed his relationship with her, you can tell from the very beginning. Oh, I'm pretty sure they're just gonna make it, one of his delusions. So I didn't like those two elements of the film, but besides that, I think the film was pretty good. um, let's see what else. I think this movie in reality is more about, it has some socioeconomic subjects, but I don't think Joker as a character is a character that represents social critique um, of um, of the masses. The Joker presents a social critique of the individual, of how bad his life is, because society is not treating the people or the poorer people like they should. But I don't know if you remember a film, the previous Batman film before this one with Bane. That film had a lot of social thematic, a lot of again this theme of when masses revolt or rebel, and in the figure of Bane, it was more of they rebelled around an organized movement. But Hollywood will never show any type of rebellion or revolution in the proper intelligent light. They will always show it as people rioting, crazy people and murderers and thieves and stuff like that, not like the real working class people rioting, which is what the reality actually is. People that have been oppressed and forgotten by the system are getting tired and angry. Now, the difference between the two films, I think, is that the Joker presents no center into which people can gravitate to. He has no ideology and he has no values. He says it himself. He believes in nothing. So the Joker to me was more, how should I say, properly portrayed in the previous Batman films as an anarchist, a person who uh, is presented more like an individual uh, chaos agent. And I think this film also presents him as that, as an individual. But this whole movement around him, I thought it was too forced and too fake. I don't think anyone in real life would even revolve around a clown murderer, or a murderer who is a clown. Sorry, it has no values, has no message. The whole, oh yeah, that was another scene I thought it was pretty lame in a sort of way. The whole bullying in the subway, kind of, it repeats a lot of the same Hollywood, pre-made thematics or presentations of these type of situations. Um, but overall, I liked the film. I enjoyed it. I like the acting. But this film, I don't think is about a social thematic. At least not as strong as that. The Bane Batman film with Christopher Nolan, which I think had more. It had a negative critique of social rebellion, but it presented it in a more believable way, but still a negative way. This film also presented it in kind of an ambivalent way, but still, to me, a little bit unrealistic. I don't think the Joker had any intentions, or not even his intentions, but he's not the type of figure people will gather around and seek as their symbol. I do think this movie really is about something that had been society's thematic recently. All right, yeah. So the thematic of this film to me was really about, if I could relate it to any kind of social phenomena of the recent years, I would say it's the incel movement. This Joker, speaks to so many elements of that movement, like isolation, resentfulness, uh, mental problems, violence, feeling rejected by society, feeling rejected by women, feeling humiliated, all of those things. So I think that's actually an interesting subject. I don't think it's a subject, that is, should be unnamed. It exists for a reason now. I think the film approached it in a very straight, honest way, and it does show you an interesting side of the Joker. But the overall film experience to me, I would say it's a 7 out of 10, and more like a 6 than an 8. Just because I think a lot of the presentation was not done correctly.